right here, day 2, Friday, here with Jason. He has got this common rail powered 2-stroke Detroit. A while back, I shared your friend's video. I thought it was originally you on YouTube. What's your friend's channel's name?
Old 2-stroker.
Okay. Which is not Jason, but it's Jason's truck that you've seen a lot on the channel, which, granted, Old 2-stroker's been bringing it to light, so kudos to him. So we're going to go over this truck. It's something like no one has ever seen, never been done. It's the first one ever, right?
It's the first V8. It's technically the second common rail Detroit ever, but there's no other one in the world right now.
In the world, that's all that matters.
It's the only one right now.
You are the guy.
So far.
You are him.
I guess.
So we're going to do a front to back on this truck, and we're going to get the whole story on it. He's going to fire it up for us. I'm going to find some clips of, you did some uphill drag racing with it on the way, right?
Yep.
So went out there and competed and done all kinds of cool stuff. The sled pulls for tonight did get canceled because it's been raining like crazy, so unfortunately no sled pulling going to be happening, but we're going to find something cool to do with Brutus, hopefully. But for now, let's check out this V8 2-stroke Detroit that is common rail injected. All right, Jason, take us front to back. Where did you buy the truck before you even thought about putting the engine in it?
So, not too far from you, actually. It came from southern Georgia. Actually, still got Georgia stickers on it. It came from southern Georgia. It was originally a single axle wrecker. It looked like tow mater.
Yeah.
We dragged it on the back of a gooseneck with a locked up rear axle. It had a 671 Detroit in it, and it did not run. It did not do anything. The wiring was shot. The chassis was shot. Air system was shot. It was pretty much everything was shot.
Okay. So you got the truck. Now tell us about the engine. So obviously that is not a 671
Correct. So
Detroit.
671, I ran that for a couple years, not even a year and a half, it blew up. So we swapped in. It's a Silver 8 V92. Originally it was just a bigger injector, nothing special, ran pretty good. Eventually put big injectors in it, twin turboed it, and then I kind of got as far as I could with the mechanical injectors, and there was no more fuel to be had, and I'm trying to compete with big cats and some of the classes I race in, so decided to try to do common rail, and we just did it. It's all built from scratch in my shop primarily.
So a lot of people don't understand what common rail is, so explain that the best way you can.
So high pressure common rail is what all of your new trucks have now, which is why they're all quiet and they burn clean, like your new Cummins, your new Power Stroke, Duramax, they're all common rail. So this originally had unit injectors in it. It's made the pressure inside the injector. Now it has a separate pump that just makes pressure, and it puts out something in the neighborhood of 22 to 24,000 PSI.
And this is a CP3 injection pump, right? What did that originate from?
There are actually 6-7 Cummins pumps. There's 3 of them up there, which you probably can't barely see, but there's a triple pump setup. It's driven with a cog belt like a blower on an old hot rod.
Okay.
On a billet plate that I made. The crank trigger is up there up front, which actually runs off the cam pulley, which you can probably barely see from up above there. And then it is run with 2 standalone ECUs because the engine is an odd fire engine. The firing orders are kind of close. Firing events are kind of close together. So in order for it to not overlap, we had to run 1 ECU for one half of the engine and 1 ECU for the other half of the engine.
Okay, that's where things got complicated.
Got a little bit. So the 2 ECUs are like in a master-slave arrangement. They communicate via CAN bus. And I did all the wiring myself. I've got some help from S&S Diesel. The injectors came from S&S. They probably want to know about those. They're a modified, like LOI, LBZ-based injector. They're 500% overs. I mean, they're modified by S&S for the flow, and then they're also modified to fit within the valve train of the Detroit engine.
Yep. And
then I made and machined injector adapters to fit them in the heads. Made the hold-down crabs to hold them in the heads, and then bent up all my own lines.
And then somehow you managed to fit all of that underneath the factory valve covers.
I did.
So that's why you don't see a rail, injector rail, whether it be on the outside
There's
or
one at the
on
front of the
inside.
engine now. If we open the other side, you might be able to see it better, but pretty tight. Probably barely
here we
see
see some stuff down in
You
here.
can see the main rail that's in the front that all 3 pumps tie together
there.
with.
Yeah, it's kind of we can barely see it, but we'll make that work.
Unfortunately, it's not a flip hood, so
you got a lot. You got a lot going on underneath this hood for such a short hood on a truck too, man.
It's packed in.
And there's a radiator in there somewhere.
Yep, still got the full-size radiator. I mean, it still
Crazy.
drives. It's not just a competition truck. I mean, I still drive it around.
Yeah, and you got the guillotines on there. So those cab-controlled guillotines in?
Yeah, they're required for. I mean, a lot of sled pulling requires it, and then the A-class requires it.
Okay.
Where I race up like an Onaway, the Canadian-style drag racing. So.
Now you mentioned to me the biggest thing was turning the horsepower up with these turbos, but the blower being bypassed.
Right. So it's.
And I see a valve you've got right here. Sorry to cut you off, but when you talked about that earlier, that valve there. So does that help with?
This is a spool valve actually to help the turbo spool up more quickly. That blocks off one half of the turbo, the turbine housing. The blower bypasses are actually up here up top. There's a butterfly valve, which you can probably see from this side. That little canister there, and then boost at a certain point is pushed outside of the blower and feeds into the sides of the engine block to help pressurize it more equally and bypass some of the blower, because the blower just
Is that where this is right here, going into the side of the block?
You can't see it because there's no room to look, but underneath the valve cover, there's inspection ports on the side of a Detroit.
Oh, yeah,
And that's where all your extra boost or extra whatever can't fit through the blower goes through there, because the blower is just a big heat pump. It just makes it hot. So
the blower's there to let it idle and run,
basically get it to start after we get to a certain boost point. I mean, there's still plenty of boost going through the blower because it's a good sized blower, but it's not all forced through the blower anymore, because I've got, those are twin 75 millimeter T6 turbos, which really aren't quite big enough anymore.
So these are just a box stock turbo, basically, right? There's nothing crazy built about them?
Yeah, they're Borg-Warner T6s, basically.
So just a lot of engineering, a lot of late nights, tinkering, figuring things out. It definitely didn't just like happen overnight, obviously.
No, I started working on the Conrail concept in like 2019, I think. I was test fitting injectors in an old 671 I had sitting in the shop, and it took until this year to accumulate all the pieces, find injectors that I was willing to pay the price for. Same with ECUs, because it was an experiment. I didn't really know if this was going to work. You know, and it's a lot of money to spend doing standalone ECUs and big injectors.
Hoping that it's going to work, right? Because it's never been done before. Well,
it sort of was. It was done on a V12 in Europe some years back, but with different injectors, different pumps, like a totally nothing comparable.
Yeah.
You know,
and it's not something you just hop on Google and say, "Hey, I want to Conrail swap my Detroit."
There's like one video of it on YouTube. You know, there's like no information about it. There's nobody to talk to about it. So it's like you're starting from scratch.
Crazy, right? All right, so we went over the engine. Did you do anything, all the external stuff we've talked about, right? Fuel, air, things like that?
Basically. Sorry.
You're good. Is there anything internally you've done that you can talk about, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, there's some valve train work in it. I mean, it's still got like stock rods and stock pistons and stuff. Seeing as I just do the bobtail racing, you know, without the trailer, hopefully we don't bend any rods yet. The next version of this, when I build the V12, we're prototyping some billet rods for it, but for now, it's primarily stock internally with just, you know, some valve train work to help support the RPMs.
How in the world are you going to fit a V12 underneath the hood of this?
Extend the hood 18 inches. I already measured.
There's our answer. All right, so we've covered the engine. Transmission. What kind of transmission you got in this thing?
It's got a mildly built 13-speed. It's a RTO 14613 that's got some go fast parts in it, if you want to call that. There's some swapping of pieces from other transmissions to make it be able to shift a little faster. It's got all the heavy service bearings in it from like a 18-speed. It's got the 2-inch input shaft. And
super secret squirrel stuff.
It's hard to get in. So I race it with a lot of Canadian guys, and it's hard to get information about them. So the couple little things I have managed to get.
They squeak when they walk.
It's, difficult to find.
So, crazy looking truck. And what was it based off of again? It's a GMC.
This is a GMC fat cab. We call it the crusty fat cab because look at it. But that's what they're called. So it's a 900 series GMC. It's a 1950.
Okay.
And it's still the original like frame under the truck in the front. I stretched it and put air ride in the back, just because it was all rotten, and to get to hub pilot wheels and to get to reasonable rear end ratios. But everything under the front of the cab is still the original truck. It's still got the original steering box in it. It's no power steering. It's got
no power steering.
No power steering. It's got the original gauges in the dash. Most all the gauges actually still work. I finally had to disconnect the tachometer because it was just going to spin around and break the needle off.
Let's look inside the door here. Are we allowed to look inside?
Yeah, I probably want to look at the driver's side. It's more interesting.
All right.
I mean, it's
normally when you would open the door of one of these, you wouldn't see electronics right there. Right?
No, there's more electronics. In the there's more electronics in those computers probably than there was in the entire world in 1950.
Can I obviously I can step in here? Is that okay? Sorry. After I'm already.
Check out the shifter knob. That's an original Jimmy Diesel. Those were key fobs that GM gave out in the 1950s. That was their little logo.
Cool. Got the laptop in here. ECUs to control this beast. So some of the gauges work on the dash, you said?
Yeah, most all of them do. The original air pressure gauge, speedometer.
She's holding air? It's not leaking air right here?
I mean, it is actually as bad as it looks.
What?
It's actually halfway legit. I mean, I rewired the whole truck. It's been replumbed totally. I mean, they're not going to let you race if it was in as bad a mechanical shape as it looked externally. They wouldn't let me race.
Now, what is that right there?
So for the racing we do, they want you to have a green light to tell them that you're ready. So that's triggered by a switch on the shifter. They used to do a thumbs up, but it wasn't very reliable.
Gotcha.
So because a lot of guys got to stage and build boost, which,
Does the heater work?
Yeah. Yeah, I had the heater core all rotted out and rebuilt. The motor I had rebuilt.
Awesome.
I mean, not that you really need any heat in the thing.
You got to watch your head getting in and out of this thing because
no,
I just knocked it.
It's tight.
Man, even the old style window frames to hold the glass together.
The windows are all kind of cracked up, but
character.
Not like I drive it in the wintertime, really.
All right, does this thing run?
Yep.
Let's hear it run.
Turn on the laptop so you can see Actually, see, it's actually running on electronics. It's not all make.
Yep. Oh wow. So you have to have the laptop on order for the truck.
No, but I mean, I have like a gauge panel in there.
For data monitoring and stuff like that.
Right. You can data log with it, and you can. There's all the analog gauges built in.
All right. Fire it up. That's crazy. Like it was meant to be.
And no, it doesn't really struggle to start. I mean, it starts a lot cleaner than an old mechanical truck. Really,
It's very quiet. Check that out, guys. She's whole truck's sitting here shaking while it's running. All right, Jason, you got to give us a little bit of a rev.
We do a rev, and then I'll put it on the two-step so you can hear the anti-lag.
Two-step? This thing's got two-step? What?
It's got anti-lag.
All right, let's see it. All right, so I don't know about you guys, but that was freaking sick. Now, how many people, like, when you do that, obviously the crowd is like showing up everywhere while he just did the two-step on a diesel semi-truck. So, very awesome creation you got here, man. Thanks for showing us the truck. We're gonna walk around and see what other kind of cool stuff we got floating around, guys. Let's see what else we can find. All right, guys, Jason's heading out. He got chose for a calendar, so should be pretty sick. Man. Listen to that thing. So sick.
Injection. Oh. Now Jason Douglas and William King. Hey, Mountain, make your bets. It's a go. William King.
Well, folks, that's a wrap for the video. Unfortunately, the slip pulls got canceled. We were going to try and tug of war a monster truck, but they didn't want to do that with the tracks. So we're going to find something to do with these tracks on this trip, I promise, or something while they're installing this trip on the truck this trip. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you check out Old Two-Stroker on YouTube and check out Jason's page, Rusty Cap. What's the name of it? Anyways, check out Jason's page, the Rusty Fat Cab. I'm losing it again. It's like a tongue twister. The Crusty Fat Cab on Facebook, guys. I'll put some links down below. Check those guys out. Super cool project. Super cool YouTube page with all two-stroke stuff. We'll be seeing you later. Peace.